Just picture the scene. It's a spring evening in 1912. You are sitting in the dining room of a large suburban house in the industrial Midlands. The mahogany table is cleared of dinner, replaced by port glasses and the thick, heavy smoke of expensive cigars. Everyone is thoroughly pleased with themselves. The factory owner at the head of the table is giving a speech. He's telling his family that the world is developing at a fantastic pace. He's telling them that there will be no war. And he's telling them about a brand new ship that has just set sail. The Titanic.
He calls it unsinkable. Absolutely unsinkable.
Exactly. And with those 3 words, the playwright J.B. Priestley drops a massive, heavy anchor of dramatic irony right onto the stage. Because the audience watching this play knows exactly what happens to the Titanic. Hello and welcome. I'm your Director of Studies, and today we are tearing into the drawing room of the Birling family to uncover the secrets, the lies and the ghosts of J.B. Priestley's and Inspector Goule's. That knock changes everything. It shatters the smug, self-satisfied bubble of the Edwardian upper-middle class. But to truly understand why this play is so brilliant, and why it's still studied, performed and debated today, we need to look at the clock.
You mean the fact that it was written in 1945 but set in 1912?
Spot on. It's a time travel trick. Priestley wrote this play in the final days of the Second World War. Britain was entirely in ruins. Cities had been bombed, food was rationed, and society had been fundamentally broken down and forced to rebuild.
So why go backwards? Why write a play about a posh dinner party 30-odd years earlier?
Because Priestley was furious. He looked back at the society that existed before the World Wars. A society built on massive inequality, where the rich lived in luxury and the working classes starved in slums. And he wanted to put that society on trial. The Birling family are the defendants, and Inspector Goole, he's the prosecutor.
Let's look at the mechanics of the plot. An inspector arrives to investigate the suicide of a young working-class woman named Eva Smith. She drank strong disinfectant. She died in agony. But the Birlings don't know her. Arthur Birling just fired her from his factory months ago for asking for a few more shillings a week.
Exactly. Arthur Birling thinks it's business as usual. He says it's his duty to keep labour costs down. But the inspector doesn't let him away with it. The inspector works systematically, moving from one character to the next, proving that everyone there played a part in Eva's death. Arthur fired her. Sheila got her sacked from her next job out of sheer petty jealousy. Gerald kept her as a mistress and then abandoned her. Eric forced himself on her and stole money. And Sybil Birling, the so-called charitable matriarch, refused her help when she was pregnant and desperate.
It's a chain reaction. One action triggers the next.
Yes! Priestley calls it a chain of events. And here, Priestley delivers his central theme, social responsibility. Priestley was a socialist. He believed in community, in a welfare state, and that we are all responsible for each other. Arthur Birling is his opposite, the ultimate capitalist. Early in the play, Birling says that a man has to make his own way, look after himself, and ignore all that nonsense about community. He calls socialists cranks who think everybody has to be mixed up together like bees in a hive.
And then the inspector knocks, right at that exact moment.
Bang on cue. The inspector arrives to prove Birling completely wrong. The inspector's philosophy is the exact antithesis of Birling's. In his final thunderous speech, Goole tells the family, "We don't live alone. We are members of one body."
It's a clash of ideologies. Capitalism versus socialism. The 1912 establishment versus the 1945 hope for a better world.
Precisely. You aren't just watching a detective thriller. You're watching a political debate disguised as a murder mystery. Shh. Now, let's talk about how the family reacts to all this. Because the Birlings do not react as a united front. The play acts as a chemical test, splitting the family clean down the middle along generational lines.
The older generation versus the younger generation.
Exactly. Let's look at the parents first. Arthur and Sybil Birling. When the inspector finally leaves, what is their primary concern? Is it the dead girl?
No, it's a public scandal. They're terrified of a police court ruining their reputation and Arthur's chance at a knighthood.
Spot on. They are utterly inflexible. Sybil Birling stubbornly refuses to accept any blame, claiming she did her duty. They are the old guard, rigid, self-interested and incapable of change. Priestley paints them as a lost cause. But then we have the younger generation, Sheila and Eric.
They actually change. Sheila is horrified by what she's done. She hands back Gerald's engagement ring. She tells her parents they're pretending everything is just as it was before.
Yes, Sheila is arguably the most dynamic character in the play. She starts out as a giddy, superficial girl admiring her engagement ring and ends up acting almost as the inspector's proxy, warning her family not to build walls between themselves and the working class.
And Eric too. Even though his actions were arguably the most horrific, he takes responsibility. He says, "The fact remains that I did what I did."
And Mother did what she did, and the rest of you did what you did to her. Exactly. Through Eric and Sheila, Priestley is offering a beacon of hope to his 1945 audience. He is telling them, the older generation led us into two catastrophic wars because of their greed and arrogance. But the youth can learn. The youth can build a better society.
But we can't talk about An Inspector Calls without talking about the ending, because it is one of the greatest rug pulls in British theatre. The moment they realise the inspector wasn't real. Was he a real police officer? No. Gerald rings the infirmary. There is no dead girl. There is no Inspector Goole on the force. The parents celebrate. They think they've been had by a hoaxer. They pour drinks and laugh. But who was he then? A ghost? Goole sounds like ghoul. Ghoul. Yes. Priestley was fascinated by the theories of a philosopher named P.D. Ouspensky, who believed in cyclical time, the idea that we will keep repeating our lives until we learn the spiritual lessons we need to learn. So the inspector is, what, time itself? A moral conscience? He is whatever he needs to be. He is a warning. Just before he leaves, he delivers his final, chilling prophecy. He says that if men will not learn their lesson, they will be taught it in fire and blood and anguish. He's talking about the First World War, which is just 2 years away for the Birlings. But he's also talking to the 1945 audience who have just survived the Second World War. Priestley is warning us, change your ways, or history will punish you again. And then, the telephone rings. A girl has just died in the infirmary. She swallowed a lot of disinfectant, and a police inspector is on his way to ask some questions. The cycle begins again. The trap snaps shut. The curtain falls.
It is a flawless piece of dramatic engineering. Priestley hooks us with a murder mystery, challenges us with profound political philosophy, and leaves us reeling with a supernatural twist.
It definitely makes you think twice about how you treat people.
And that is exactly what great literature is supposed to do. Thank you for listening to this introduction to a true modern classic. This audio show was brought to you by Director of Studies. If you enjoyed this content and want to ensure you are fully prepared for your exams, we have exactly what you need. Head over to our website, directorofstudies.com, where we have a wealth of premium, in-depth content waiting for you. We cover all the major themes, dive deep into character analysis, and provide specific, actionable guidance for every GCSE exam board. Don't leave your grades to chance. Let us help you master the text. Until next time, keep reading, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next lesson.